I'm Russell Beard in the highlands of Cuzco with the Potato Guardians of Peru.
I'm Juliana Schatz visiting an oyster restoration project on the east coast of America.
And I'm Chu Owen in the Channel Islands, where a group of people are embracing the darkness to see the light.
Genetic diversity is nature's insurance policy, and it's vital for any species in order to adapt to a changing world. But the practices of modern agriculture are shrinking the diversity of our most important food staples, leaving them vulnerable to pests and disease and climate change. I'm Russell Beard here in Peru, where a meeting of old knowledge and new science is safeguarding the future of the world's favourite vegetable. The International Potato Centre, or CIP, is a research for development facility which has the largest collection of potatoes in the world. Okay, so we're here with René Gomez. He's a native potato curator here at CIP. I saw this when we arrived. This looks like, well, it looks like a museum.
Esta es una pequeña muestra de las papas nativas que se manejan en este banco. Hay más de 4,000 y todas provienen de los Andes, fundamentalmente con papas silvestres.
René collaborates with indigenous farmers from the Andes who supply CIP with tubers for their collection. In return, CIP sends them varieties to test in the field.
Hay una entrega de estos materiales desde los agricultores hacia el banco, y por otra parte, desde este banco ya material limpiado de virus va a los lugares de donde han venido estas papas, y a eso le hemos denominado repatriación.
I recognize these potatoes. These are the kind of potatoes you find in my at the back of my fridge.
We keep dried specimens of everything so that we have that for reference, and we've got stuff back for 50 years.
As well as keeping the actual tubers, CIP scientists maintain a large collection of potato berries from which they can collect and store seed. I just want to, I mean, I wish you could smell this. It's absolutely amazing. Every bag smells different. I mean, there's cinnamony, smells like chocolate. This is what diversity looks like. It's wonderful. So why is it important to keep it so cold?
Seed stores well at -20°C. We store it at room temperature, and it might survive for a year. We store it here, and it survives for maybe 100 years.
Woo! Yeah, it's cold.
We try and preserve the diversity of potatoes, sweet potatoes, Andean root and tuber crops of the cultivated varieties and their wild ancestors, so that we can constantly stay one step ahead of all of the changes that happen in the world. Diseases, pests, it's food security. A good example would be drought resistance. With climate change, water is going to become more scarce, and there's no question that we will need potatoes that can withstand and grow with less water. Wild varieties grow in the deserts. I mean, we have genes out there that confer the trait of being able to survive with less water. And that's what we try and do, is save those genetic components. Wow. This is our specially designed growing room. Climate control, earthquake proof, everything is in duplicate.
The CIP Gene Bank is a living library that holds over 7,000 samples selected for traits that might be useful to breeders all over the world in case crops are decimated by natural or man-made disasters.
Now we understand the dynamics of climate change. In another 20 years, there may be something else. We save the diversity of plants to ensure that that diversity is around to be used for future generations.
It's a great thought, isn't it, that we're here, we're surrounded by, you know, state-of-the-art science, talking about preserving genes for hundreds of years. I mean, this is cutting-edge science, and yet it still relies on a collaboration with farmers. That's what you're talking about.
Absolutely. All knowledge, and they've got huge knowledge.
To meet the farmers, David and René take us to Pisac, a village located high in the sacred valley of the Andes. in the park now. Is that right? Are we in the park now, René?
Sí, estamos en el Parque de la Papa.
The potato park is part farmland, part field lab, covering more than 12,000 hectares, and it's home to indigenous Quechua farmers known as the Potato Guardians. Drawing on generations of farming knowledge, they grow repatriated CIP varieties and provide feedback on how they hold up in the highlands. And today, there's a very special celebration. So it's all going off. It's the National Potato Day.
We're having a traditional celebration, Dia de la Papa and Parque de la Papa. Different tribes are here to thank Mother Earth, thank the heavens for the potatoes, and we're here to finish the repatriation that we started.
Okay. Because it's a sacred thing, so part of the ritual here. Yeah?
Imanaktin taknukanches aswang kurach taita mamanches o abuelonches kuna willeriwaran. Entonces vaya panay kuna, disculpa yo.
Just gives you an idea of how much you can do. It can be much further away from a fast food joint.
Aquí está la bondad de la repatriación. Yo por eso estoy contento, por eso les digo, estoy tal vez un poco emocionado. El trabajo que venimos haciendo con ustedes.
Sin comunidades como así, el mundo no van a tener papas. Gracias.
You were quite emotional.
Y especialmente emocionado porque el montón de papas y las papas que han traído como regalo cada comunidad eran papas repatriadas. Repatriadas desde el 2002, 2003, 2004. Entonces les hemos limpiado de virus y todo lo necesario y estamos devolviendo. Eso es repatriación.
Traveling the world since the 1500s, when Spanish conquistadors first brought it to Europe from Peru, the potato has been growing in popularity ever since. As a cheap source of nutrition, it's been credited with global population booms between the 18th and 20th century, and as the staple food that fueled the Industrial Revolution. The humble tuber's incredible diversity is the secret to its success, allowing it to adapt to a wide range of conditions. And they're still adapting. As the soil gets warmer at lower altitudes and potatoes migrate to cooler conditions, the potato guardians are forced to climb higher into the mountains to harvest a healthy crop. Oh, here's a little stash. And the small ones we take also, yeah?
Hay bastante cantidad de variedades, entonces nosotros siempre cuidamos viendo hacia el futuro. Paiko imanaktin aska papata kaipe tarpuiko. Entonces, no caigo pa piensaico futuro generación pe.
Oysters have an incredible ability to filter and remove pollutants from water and can have a huge impact on the health of their environment. But it is estimated that up to 85% of oyster reefs have been lost worldwide. I'm Juliana Schatz on the east coast of America to witness a movement that is trying to reverse this trend and to get these vital habitats flourishing again. Oyster reef restoration projects are happening in states across the U.S. Dr. Ray GRIZZLE is one of the foremost oyster experts in New Hampshire.
Hello, Juliana.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
It's gorgeous here.
Yes, you definitely cannot beat our location. The oysters, they are very important to the estuary. They provide habitat for many other creatures. Hundreds of species of invertebrates and plants typically live on them. In the process of getting their food, they pump water through their shells and remove particles.
Completely new concept to me that oysters clean the water.
And we have some tanks set up inside that can demonstrate. Now, I've set up 2 tanks here, about 25, 30 live oysters in it. The one on the left has similar amount of dead oysters. And the idea here is over time, you'll be able to see how they physically clear the water.
How long does it take to?
Well, it should go down within about an hour. You should see a very visible difference between this tank and that tank.
The oyster's ability to filter water of algae, sediments, bacteria, and excess nitrogen can have a huge impact on water quality, which in turn can benefit the entire ecosystem. But oyster populations worldwide are declining dramatically.
To my knowledge, in most cases, it's some combination of disease, continued harvesting in the face of this disease, and then water quality, water pollution issues.
Since 2000, Ray and his team have launched 17 oyster restoration projects aimed at rebuilding oyster populations in New Hampshire.
Welcome aboard the Riviera Queen.
All right, it's
That's
a regal
the name of our boat, yes. And so basically, we'll take a short trip out there. We restored 2-acre restoration site on the east side, and that's what we're heading for.
Previously,
Yes.
the population of oysters could filter out this whole bay in a week.
A week or so.
And now it takes
well
a
over
year.
a year. The diminishing of a process at that level moves all the way up the food chain with its ramifications.
In order to grow to maturity, young oysters need to attach to something solid, usually the shell of another oyster. To encourage this growth, Ray's team has placed tons of oyster shells, collected from local restaurants, onto the bed of the estuary.
Basically, what we constructed, the beginnings of this, what we call a mini oyster reef. It's 10 meters in diameter. We'll drop the patent tongs and see what it looks like today. Yep, go. Oh yeah, there's some oysters there.
Good one. I have to advertise this as a workout.
Okay. All right. This could have been one of the first ones we put out. The look on top of the shell. There's a smaller one that sat on this shell.
So these are the dead oysters that serve as the habitat.
Yep.
And this little guy,
Yep.
new oyster.
It's doing what it's supposed to do,
So
basically.
these came here naturally, on their own.
Almost certainly.
Well, now, would you quantify this as success?
This particular restoration site is definitely successful, but the long-term goal is to restore as many as the estuary in its present condition will be able to sustain.
250 miles away from the serenity of New Hampshire's Great Bay, the setting for another oyster restoration project couldn't be more different.
Only in New York.
More than 15 organizations are involved in a New York oyster restoration project, which aims to restore 1 billion live oysters over the next 20 years.
Reports say that when Henry Hudson sailed into Upper New York Harbor, there were 260,000 acres of oyster reefs. And so, trillions of oysters, trillions of oysters.
Right.
There are no oysters anymore here. By the early 1900s, they'd all been eaten or dredged out or covered over with sediment or too polluted for larvae to regenerate. We put down 5 oyster reefs in various places throughout this estuary system to see where they did best. The one that we're going to up in Soundview, Bronx, did the very best, and that's why we're going back up there to check on that.
Well, and if you can grow them here, I mean, this is about as challenging as it gets for a location, right?
Exactly. So this is set up, modeled after a commercial oyster farm.
500,000 oysters in here?
The young oysters are placed in floating cages in a protected bay until they're large enough to be released onto the reefs.
See, that's the reef that you want. Can you see how, in terms of habitat, in terms of velocity of water, how these massive reefs of this is going to have such a difference? It's going to have a massive impact on the ecosystem.
A blue crab.
Blue crab, but you see this is...
But that's the enemy right now, right?
Yes.
He eats young
mean,
oysters. He eats young oysters, but it's fine. He's a predator in the system. Here, take your glove off and try that.
No, thanks. So would oysters in this area have a positive impact?
Well, so that's the hope. Waiting to get back results in terms of water quality impacts, but what we do definitely see is increase in habitat.
The young oysters are taken from the protected bay to one of the man-made reefs in the Bronx River, where a team of students and volunteers release them into the water. Here, the oysters can grow and reproduce, leading to a self-sustaining oyster population.
So we've just arrived into the Bronx River, where the largest and most successful oyster reef is. But look at that one full of oysters, that's good. So walk this way.
I don't know what he's doing, but...
Oh no! Are you okay?
Yeah, you just pulled me over the tree.
I'm so sorry. I pulled you over.
You didn't get that on film, I hope. No, not at all. And you're going to go to the line and then try to spread it 1 meter back.
And what about the greater environmental hopes that you have? I mean, this is a part of a larger project all along the east coast of the United States and a part of a greater movement worldwide.
From our perspective, if we can restore New York Harbor to be a more bountiful, more abundant ecosystem, then no one else has any excuse.
The environmental cost of light pollution is enormous. Astronomers estimate that in the UK alone, the wasted electricity from streetlights equates to 800,000 tonnes of carbon dioxide being needlessly emitted into the atmosphere each year. That's the equivalent of an extra 160,000 cars on the road. And it's not just the wasted electricity. Artificial lights disrupt the natural cycles of plants and animals, changing habitats and challenging delicate ecosystems. I'm Chu Owen in the British Isles to meet a community who are putting a stop to light pollution and reaping the benefits of dark skies. Hello? Hello! Are you Joe? Aha! We found you. Lovely to meet you.
Hello.
I'm Chu.
Light pollution is when you're shining light up into the sky and therefore you can't see the stars. A lot of the time, if you're shining a lot of light up like cities do, you won't see much of the night sky.
There's no cars on the island,
There are no cars, and that's nice. We have tractors, but they've got to be off the island, off the roads by 10 o'clock at night.
Oh, right.
We've got no street lights. And we're not the light police, it is voluntary. So the idea is that you shine down where you need it, and you don't waste it by shining it out or up. You could have a look at my outside light, which is a very simple thing I've done.
Gaffer tape and a ladder, eh?
Yep. That's good.
There we go.
The self-governing island of Sark spent 2 years capping outside lights and monitoring nighttime light levels.
So how many people live on Sark then?
About 600. So this is the main street.
Right, this is the high street.
This is the avenue. So Mark thought he'd like to change his light because it shines out. If he could shine it down, then it would light the way to his restaurant just as well without spoiling our night sky.
And after a strong community effort, Joe and fellow residents finally achieved the internationally recognised dark sky status.
The first dark sky island in the world. So we're here to meet Annie, who is from the Sark Astronomical Society. Looks like she's in. Hello.
Where are they?
Hello.
Oh, hi.
Hello. Hi, I'm Chu. Nice to meet you.
Chu?
Yes.
Oh, I love it.
You're something to do with the Sark Astronomical Society, is that right?
Yeah, I'm the chairperson, although they call me Starfleet Commander, because I don't like being named after a piece of furniture, basically. I think primarily the purpose of the astronomy group here is to try and get people interested enough to actually change their lighting plans where they live, because I think it's part of our inheritance as human beings to be able to see the sky and the stars and the rest of the world, and to know that we're so tiny in our environment and so fragile.
So what is going on this evening?
Well, this evening it's just a welcome to Bob Bauer, who's the astronomer that's our guest speaker. We're going to go out, there'll be a couple of telescopes available, and we'll learn all about what we're seeing up there. It's going to be fun. See you later.
But before sunset, resident Penny Preble and her husband Andrew want to show us some of the wildlife benefiting from darker nights.
Sometimes when you turn this on, you can hear them rustling and moving around.
So what is this?
It's a bat detector. It lowers the high frequency calls of the bats to a frequency that we can hear.
It's like it's a bit like Ghostbusters.
Yes. There's the bats.
I just saw one go past. Listen to that.
Just watching.
There he goes.
Wow. Can I have this?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
They've got eyes that are really well adapted to low light levels, which is why street lighting can damage them. If you've got lights shining on a roost inadvertently, the bats won't know when to come out, which lessens the time they've got to hunt. So you've got undernourished bats, which won't survive a winter.
So if all these animals are being affected by the light pollution, presumably humans get affected by it as well?
Yes. I think for human beings it affects your cultural. You won't be able to see the stars, for example, if you've got too much light pollution. You've got orange skies. You maybe see the moon and you think to yourself, well, that's all there is. But if you come here to an island like Sark, you look up and instantly you're connected with all those constellations and just the wonder of looking up and seeing all those stars.
Natural light patterns help protect the island's insect, bat and bird populations. But humans also benefit, especially the rare subspecies that I belong to, the amateur astronomer. Sark's clear skies have inspired an enthusiastic astronomy society, and tonight is a special night.
That is our nearest neighbour.
That's the nearest galaxy to us.
Galaxy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Bob's giving us a guided tour of the sky. No light pollution at all. Sort of looking at galaxies and clusters and double stars. But it's fascinating.
I think, considering the mist earlier, it's beautiful now.
A lot of people who are enthusiastic about it, and I certainly am enthusiastic about it, sometimes forget that other people don't see it quite that way. And it's a shame because it's fundamental to us, isn't it? Apollo 8, the first one that they had, the classic picture of the Earth rising above the moon. There's the Earth, small in comparison to the moon, because that puts it into perspective. That's humanity's home.
Oh my God, look at that picture over there. There's the Earth coming up. Wow, that's pretty.
The Apollo 8 astronaut William Anders noted the irony of travelling so far to explore the moon, yet what we discovered was the Earth. And it's that picture that has inspired environmentalists ever since. And, of course, the name of our show.
Oh, I got it, Ray. Oh, that's a beautiful shot. You got a color film, Jim?
The floor is made of Trespa, which is a material that is used for desktops.
So all of this flooring used to be desktops in a bank?
Yes, yeah, in a
really
big bank, yeah.
I love
now it's
that.
a dance
That's
floor,
amazing.
yeah.